Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Good morning. Good morning. Can you guys hear me? See my screen? Let me know on the YouTube stream. No sound. Childish Dinsey. Can anyone else hear me on Instagram? Hear me, see me on Instagram? Let me know. Good morning, Blair. Good morning, Jose. What's up? What's up? Good morning, Johnny. Tori, good morning. All good, all good. Thank you. Chi, good morning. Stelius, good morning. Odyssey. Yeah, I can hear and see on YouTube. Cool, cool. Thanks, guys. Got all the usual crowd showing up today, which is cool. Childish said, never mind, it was me. Okay, that's cool. All right, I'm going to start jumping into the analysis here in just a minute. How's everybody's weekend? Everybody have a good weekend? Great weekend, Tori. Good, good. So market continues to be right up here near these all-time highs. So great weekend. Good, good. Yeah, good weekend here. Just chilled. Went to Disney with the fam. That kind of stuff. Was in Spain for a concert. Beautiful. Back to the UK. My wife is from the UK. Nice weekend. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. Yes, it did. Nice little bit of time off from the screens. Continue to be in this kind of tricky spot up here near all-time highs. Good morning, everybody tuning in on Instagram. Just so you know, I am sharing my screens on the live stream on YouTube. The link is in my story, and the link is in my bio on Instagram. If you want to join in the live stream on YouTube, I'd recommend it. Good morning, Ishan. Welcome in. All right, so we'll start kind of jumping through the analysis. I like to stay pretty patient and chill on Mondays and kind of let things develop. So it's kind of the game plan today, but we'll take a look at where we're at. So just looking at the daily time frame here, you can see we are still right up at all-time highs. We had these previous all-time highs that kind of triple topped before it sold off earlier than this year. Same things I've talked about in past streams. We've rallied a V-shaped pretty aggressively. We're back at all-time highs. Consolidated here for the last couple weeks. Late last week, we rallied right up to the top and broke all-time highs. However, pause, comma, we've just kind of stalled here still. So we did push new all-time highs up to 63.57. Again, like I always share, I look at the contract adjusted prices. So just so you know, on ES. But yeah, we're consolidating up here at the all-time highs. We had this 2-week period where we consolidated, we dipped the low of that and swept that out. I talked about that on the live streams last week, but we swept those lows and then, you know, had a really nice rally back up, pushed some new all-time highs. So really important to see how price reacts early this week. If we drop back into this range, or if we continue to expand to the upside out of this range. I'm still first looking to stay not biased, I don't think is the word, but the first setups that I'm looking for are going to be obviously more of the pullbacks to get long, just because location of the market, context is still bullish. Bulls have been very much in control. Every quick sell-off has just been a good opportunity to buy, and we've push new highs. So if I do take any short-sighted setups, then it's just a very quick scalp type of setup and not looking probably to hold for very large continuation until market structure shifts significantly different than what we've seen for a long time. So I'm going to drop down to the 4-hour time frame here. This is that consolidation period that I've been talking about. Again, after we kind of swept these lows, let's just look at that wick on the 4-hour, and then not only did it have that large wick and fake out, but it followed through all the way until we swept out the highs again. Since we swept out these highs, though, just looking at this 63.43, which was kind of a target area for my longs last week on Thursday. I took longs and targeted the 30s to 40s range. We swept that out. We have kind of double topped here almost so far with a lower high. So this is going to be kind of important to watch. To me, this is just a little bit tricky structure here because we had that consolidation, we broke out to the upside, but now we really didn't follow through a whole lot with any large expansion to the upside, and we've kind of double topped lower high. So just location and context and everything in the market, like I'm very hesitant to hold shorts or take shorts, but at the same time, it's not so strong up here that it's just like obvious long plays for breakout and continuation. So a little bit of tricky context going into this week, to be honest with you guys. And we're like right in the middle of summer where, volume and volatility tends to lack. What's up? What's up? Be the people. I'll try to wrap this up quickly as far as the analysis goes, and then I'll leave it for any questions and things like that. So, looking at this 4-hour time frame, we can see this kind of key area where this bounce occurred, right near these prior highs and right where this prior selling kind of broke this consolidation. Look at this level right here, right where it bounced. We can see that was right at the highs where we previously rejected. We broke out above, we pulled back, and we held almost that same zone, you could say. So that's why I say it's a little tricky between where the current price is, because we're still bouncing and holding above like the top of this consolidation, but we also are kind of double topping and making lower highs. So I think this is kind of an important range to watch this morning. I'm personally probably going to be a little bit cautious and kind of watch how this price action develops in this range. And be cautious of jumping right into things in this range, because I think it could be a little tricky until we get some clearer direction and clearer information outside of this area. So looking at the 1-hour time frame here, this is pretty much the same information here. Can see it a little bit more clearly, this range that I was talking about between that high level and that, and it was pretty much the exact same range right here where we had all this consolidation back on, what was this, Tuesday? So Tuesday of last week in the pre-market, we had all of this consolidation here. It sold off from, that's when we wicked out that low the next day after that, and then recaptured above that. So looking at it from this perspective, kind of a little bit more narrowly on the lower time frame, we're still pretty sideways, I would say, just kind of consolidating right at the top of this range. So this is kind of an important area that rejected after consolidating here. And this is the hourly chart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of consolidation in this area before we rejected lower. We broke back above it, and now we're kind of holding the low of it. So important to really watch and see what happens here. Ideally, from my perspective, if bulls can step in and hold, say we sweep prior day lows, I would still want to see us hold this key level we had before 63.11. If I pull up my regular trading charts, intraday trading charts, I still have this level here. So I'm still watching this. I'm still kind of watching this 33s level. I could mark, that's kind of right in the middle of this zone that I'm already aware of, like between 43 and like 24, 25. I could mark this as a zone, but I just don't really like doing that because it just adds too much noise on my charts. I don't like, I don't really like having that kind of stuff on my trading charts in the day. It's just a massive kind of zone here. But I know it between 43s and, you know, this 24, 25 area, kind of an important consolidation range to watch and see how it reacts. If we drop below this range, and I would say hold well above these 63.11s, kind of Thursday's opening range area where we consolidated and rallied. So if we sweep prior day lows here, we hold above this range, and then we recapture back inside this range, then I may look for ways to get long and target the highs again for another leg higher. If we cut through this area like hot butter and we start selling off aggressively and bounce and retest 63.11 or bounce and retest 24, and I see a lot of, you know, sellers reloading, then that may be a setup that I look to take short and just target 6300s or, you know, this level here, which was the swing low here. So just to probably just targeting a quick break under 6300s to retest like kind of the middle of this range. What is the middle of this range, by the way? Let's look at this. So almost right around 6,300. Yeah. So if we drop down here and just slice through this like hot butter, and we just, you know, selling is very strong, and we bounce and hold under this kind of 24s to 30s area. So if we drop through that, selling is super strong, super aggressive, and we bounce and retest, and I don't see a long setup here for a recapture inside this range, then I'll probably be looking to see if sellers continue to reload for a quick short, just targeting probably around 6,300. That's around the 50% of this range. That's also just a key whole number. So multiple reasons why things could happen around there. So I would probably be looking for just a quick scalp into that. LL, that's like the London session low, or the overnight session low is typically what I mark that as, like the overnight swing low. This is not quite like London session low. I think I usually look when the volume is most active between like 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. But it's like a key overnight low that I'm looking at, either to hold or to fake out under it, etc. Good question, Jose. Sorry, I know I have a lot of my own ways of doing things, like shorthand, things like that. So if you ever have any questions, you know, feel free. I think that's pretty much the game plan in a nutshell. In the higher time frame, we can drop down to the 15-minute here. Nothing too significantly different. There was a lot of probably like funds rebalancing stuff on Friday. It was quad witching, I believe. So a lot of contract expirations and things like that. And we can see this really, really choppy range just under the 63.33 level that I have. And then we broke out above it and held. So I was close to just deleting this level. But since this is like right in the middle of that zone that I talked about, and I kind of liked how we dropped under it, kind of had this consolidation and then recaptured above it, I'm gonna continue to hold it here. So if we drop down into this where we see kind of all of this consolidation, I wouldn't really say this is like a clean like demand area, like as far as supply and demand, but there's just a lot of interesting activity. If you were looking at the tape, somebody said, I didn't see the close. Somebody said at Friday, the close at 333's 3,000 lot hit, got absorbed. Yeah, so there was a lot of like buying and selling stuff going on. That was kind of weird, kind of interesting. I think had a lot to do with probably the rebalancing with quad witching, a lot of contract expirations on Friday. So we'll see that how this area reacts. If we drop down here, either right at the top of this level, which was like the close, like Derek just mentioned, or below it into this area. Again, I'm not so looking at it so much as like a demand area, even though I guess maybe it would look like that on a higher time frame. There's not really any time frame. It looks like a clean like demand area, but it's just a kind of an area of interest to me. We clearly had a lot of consolidation here. That 33 level is right in the middle of that range that I talked about between like 24s and 43s. So it's just an area of interest to watch if we get down there on a drop this morning. Another thing that I've been watching, I'm not a big like trend line trader, but I do watch things that set up as far as like trend lines go, especially on higher time frames. I was watching this because we peaked above these all-time highs 1, 2, 3 times, and each time it rejected, and it made a higher low. I mean, this I guess made a lower low. We wicked out the bottom of that consolidation range and then rallied up to new highs, but this made a higher low. But this is an interesting trend line to me that's kind of forming up here on the higher time frames, and we rejected it like to the tick here this morning in the pre-market. So that's another thing that I'm watching here, and that also formed a slightly lower high from this high we made late last week. So in a nutshell, I'd be watching for a drop into here to see if buyers react and reclaim it in that range, or if we sweep below this, kind of sweep all the liquidity, like stop hunt these lows after all that consolidation, but hold above this opening range from Thursday, which was a nice uptrending day. So if we test this opening range here, especially above this 63.11 level, and we see really strong absorption, really strong buyers, I would maybe look to take that long, speculating that we reclaim this range between 24s and 43s. It really depends on how we get down there with price action and order flow. If we just slice through there with heavy selling and weak buying getting absorbed on retest, then maybe I scalp it short and target 6300s. If we bottom right here already, after taking out these kind of overnight lows that we literally are close to taking out here, and then we just bounce, then I may kind of just sit back and wait today and watch and see what develops. If we rally up here and we just kind of stall again, I probably will not be looking to take that short, just because I don't really like the context and location of taking shorts at all-time highs, even though it can work out nicely sometimes for a nice strong pullback. But I generally try to avoid setups like that. Oops, no, I just want to remove this drawing. There we go. All right, so we got like 6 minutes till the opening bell. If anybody has any questions on any of that, just drop it in the chat, let me know. But those are the kind of the setups that I'm looking for, and I'll be gauging like price action around, order flow around this morning. Is that 63.33 a level that you look to short on a break and retest if price fails to reclaim back above it? Yeah, possibly. Like I said, I want to see how price action reacts if we get down there. But I'm just cautious of us taking out these lows around 24, still holding above this kind of opening range here, like this area here. Where we kind of formed this break and retest above the 63.11 and had this really strong rally day. I would be cautious, for me, about shorting close to here when we could take out these lows and bounce off this area pretty aggressively, especially just given overall context and location in the market. So to answer your question, maybe, depending on how I see stuff setting up, but I would probably be very quick with the trigger on it to just take it for a quick scalp, because I am watching out for a sweep under these lows to bounce off this area here. Bookmap setting we spoke about. Yeah. Yeah, somebody DM'd me about my Bookmap settings. I'll switch over there and show you guys really quick. You guys kind of see the analysis and the game plan already. Let me switch my screen over. So Bookmap settings, these are my settings for the Dom Pro. What do you want to see? I do have the Trader Map Lite on. I do look at that sometimes. The bracket orders have not been as bad recently. I have that on low sensitivity. Absorption indicator, here's my settings for that. I have the automatic mode, the SD multiplier. I have around 10. I will adjust this based on volume and volatility. The dot settings. So I think the only thing that I've done to change the dot settings is set this color scheme here and turn the heat map dimming like this. And then as far as the contrast, I have these things adjusted here. Where can I see? Honestly, I haven't adjusted anything on the dot settings, if I have at all, in years. The dot settings for bubbles, smart clustering. Yeah, so these are the only things that I've really adjusted is this contrast. I don't like that. I have it all the way over. And then as far as the volume dot size, I have this adjusted to a little bit past median, past the middle. I don't really, I'll adjust that slightly depending on kind of the volume and volatility. And then I have this color scheme set and the heat map dimming. I have like this. I don't see anything else that I've adjusted. Configure visible components. These are kind of the settings I have here. That's pretty much all the settings that I've adjusted. Third icon over, this one, studies configuration. So there's that. There's my volume dots. This is all default stuff. I've never adjusted this. You can take a screenshot if you want. Volume imbalance, don't have that. Volume dots, volume bars, volume dots. Yeah, this is just default for me, at least. This was whatever was default, unless I may have adjusted this years ago. So there you go. All right, for those of you on Instagram, I'm going to stay on the live stream on YouTube, but I'm going to end it on Instagram. If you want to stay on, I'm sharing my screen on here. Recommend hopping over on Instagram or on YouTube. Sorry, the link is in my story on Instagram. So I'll see you guys over there. Peace. Okay, well, I'm glad that helped you with people, Coach. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. So we'll see how this sets up here this morning. Excuse me. All right. One thing I didn't talk about is the news. Let's take a look at the news. Not too much. Powell was speaking at 8:30 tomorrow morning. We got manufacturing PMI on Thursday, 9:45. And then some durable goods orders on Friday. Home sales on Wednesday. Nothing too crazy this week as far as planned news. Ever-present risk of Trump tweets, so watch out for that. A lot of buying here right off the get-go. Really, since around 9 a.m. this morning, it's just been getting bought up. So we'll see how this sets up and develops this morning. Yeah, no problem. No problem, we the people. Glad that fixed your Bookmap view. Yeah, so I have a setting. I think somebody asked, do I clear my DOM? I have a setting checked so it automatically clears after the 9:30 bell. So you can see all my DOM stuff cleared at 9:30 to reset. Little area of lower volume here down in the 40s on that quick pop off the open. It's kind of stalled up here. Take a look at NQ. NQ is pretty strong. NQ is trying to blast here. I don't watch it a ton. Maybe I'll look it up on the chart and see if there's any levels or anything. So NQ held a nice higher low, and it looks like it's trying to blast here this morning. So that could help ES have an easier time lifting off this morning. But ES so far is kind of lagging behind a bit. So if we hold that low, right? So remember I talked about that 24 to 43 area. This low we formed, it's just a couple points into that, right at the top of those 43s. Unfortunately, it's right in the pre-market. So didn't really have a chance to take it on my end, but see, this thing looks like it's ready to steam. Yeah, I don't like shorting this area near all-time highs. Clearly bullish structure. It could work, but I don't see anything for me to get short here. Somebody said they're looking to short. I would not be looking to short this for me. But if you see something with how you trade, then by all means. Yeah, the point here, guys, is for just sharing information and showing you guys how I trade, but I don't recommend trying to copy or, you know, avoiding. Like if you have your own setups and your own trades, by all means do that. Don't just try to follow me. If I'm not taking a setup that you see, then you take it for sure. But just context and location and price action, and pretty much nothing is telling me to look for shorts here right now. Certainly could work though, because we have topped multiple times here and rejected. Like I said, we had that trend line at the highs that's rejected numerous times, and it's not looking super strong up here at the all-time highs because, like I said, we have kind of formed this lower high now. So there's definitely multiple things that look like, I don't think I would say looks extremely weak, but it doesn't look super strong from buyers up here after we've kind of broken the high of this range. But despite that, I'd rather wait to see price action really shift bearish, more higher time frame bearish, before I start really looking for top reversal setups. Tons of buying, no reward. Yeah, I mean that is looking like I'm definitely not gonna argue that. Just NQ is blasting so far. So I just think it'd be hard to try to catch shorts on ES until NQ also rejects. Otherwise, any pullback might be quite short-lived, and you might get stopped out multiple times trying to catch a high for a reversal. Yeah, NQ is absolutely ripping this morning. So that, even seeing kind of ES just slow down here at these highs, it could work for sure. It could work. It just doesn't look prime for a great short setup to me. So I'm just going to stay patient. What's everyone here actually watching on the charts? Are you guys all trading ES and NQ? Trading and looking at things different than that? I'm curious. Ava says ES, NQ. ES. So mostly ES and NQ. Tell you, I mean, if NQ does manage to find some resistance and pullback, it could set up for a nice, more exaggerated pullback on ES just because it's lagging and it's a bit weak. But we are poking out at the highs again on NQ. So just kind of playing with fire a little bit, kind of shorting near all-time highs. Lee says ES, Stelios, and ES and NQ. Yeah, I mean, without seeing any kind of pullback, in area hold and stuff, I don't see a setup for me to jump in long. But definitely not a clear A+ thing for me to jump in short either. So I'm just sitting out and watching. Yeah, I'm not someone that likes to long extended, moves up right off the open without seeing like a pullback and retest. Just from a risk versus reward perspective, it gets a little bit hard to frame risk. And also at the same time, I'm not looking to step out in front of buyers and get absolutely smacked in the face at all-time highs trying to short it. So trust me, I've touched that fire enough times in the past to know. Yeah, I've been burnt trying to chase, and I've been burnt trying to fade an uptrend at all-time highs. So you want to be very cautious with both of those things. It cost absolutely $0 to just sit back and patient for an A+ trade setup. It will be very hard to make and keep capital from over trading less than ideal setups. Yeah, the dip this morning was nice. Unfortunately, it was right in the pre-market around 9 a.m. and I wasn't looking to catch it, but it was right at the top of that zone that I talked about between 63.43 and 63.24s, that area. I was hoping to see a drop to the bottom of that area, but we've kind of bounced right off the top of that zone and just continuing to rip higher here this morning. Like since 9 a.m., we traded at 63.40s. So we're up like 15 points, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice little pump given, recent volatility. It's not been trading in super large ranges, but for sure, this is looking like a nice rip off the open here. And this is why, despite seeing all of that looks like absorption a few minutes ago with a lot of buying and not a ton of reward so far, was not looking to short it because of this. NQ ripping. We're strong. We're continuing in strong uptrend here at all-time highs. Sellers are just getting stomped. So not looking to fade that. This is what I was talking about. Like, so yeah, we saw this kind of like absorption looking here around 49s, 50s. But again, just given the location and the context and the strength of NQ, there's just nothing telling me like, look for a short here. But if we get we're, you know, breaking out above these 57s. We'll see if we get a pullback and a bit of consolidation here of some sort, something to kind of set up for a long setup. And if I do take a setup like that, then it would be targeting kind of an uptrend breakout at the all-time highs. Hopefully we get a nice quick pump that allows a nice high R trade. If we kind of form a bit of consolidation and pullback, form an area that we can frame, that I can frame my risk for the trade around. Like I said, this all-time high level 57s we just broke. So ideally I would have seen that like consolidation and stuff before, but here we are. So we'll see what happens here. We have the pre-market highs around 53, 54. So we'll see if we get a bit of a pullback. That's also right at that trend line that I mentioned. The pre-market highs rejected right off that trend line, right around 54. So we'll see if we get a bit of a pullback here into where all these buyers were between 47 and 52, really all the way up to 50, 54, 55. If we get some kind of a pullback that makes sense and see good confirmations, then we can possibly take it long, targeting a breakout of the all-time highs, and I'll probably just scale out when the tape slows down if I see it. But just looking at the 15-minute, pretty strong rip here right off the open that just took out the all-time highs. I didn't really like since the opening bell, unless you just jump in long, I just didn't really see any good place to get in it with a risk versus reward type thing that made sense. Little area of lower volume around 54, 56. Let me check that out. Yeah, that would be nice. And that's, like I said, right at that trend line, 54, 55s, right at that trend line, right at those 54, 55s, right at that pre-market high. So lots of things there that would say if we pull back to possibly where we saw this strong buying start, so really just call it like this 50 to 55 area. If we get a pullback there that makes sense, then I may look to long that and target a continuation at the highs and scale out when the tape slows down. But if we just keep lasting here, like yeah, I want to be a part of this move up, but like where am I putting my risk? I'm just coming up with an arbitrary number that doesn't really invalidate being long. Just like, you know, I'm risking X and just get in it. I don't know. That's not really how I trade. Yeah, so when you see multiple things like that, ES, NQ, lots of things uptrending, then it definitely has the potential to be a solid uptrending day. Now, gold and ES and NQ all going up, yeah, that's interesting. But when all the indices are kind of setting a nice uptrend, the best trending days happen when all the indices are trending, and it can be a little choppy if, you know, and it really just boils down to the underlyings. Like if one sector is outperforming and others are underperforming, then you can kind of get like those balanced price actions. But when everything in the market is looking good, multiple different sectors are all kind of outperforming, that's when you're going to have those strong trending days. And when that happens, you definitely want to find a way to get a part of it or sit out of it. You don't want to try to fade it. YM is the weakest. I do look at YM a little bit sometimes, but primarily ES and NQ. Just a micro little pullback there to 57s. So we can see on the DOM here, this area of lower volume that we talked about between like 53 and 56. So this is an important area to watch if we do get a pullback in here. Why is that doing that? I usually do the boxes like this on Bookmap if I draw like a rectangle to mark like a zone that I'm watching intraday, just because it's a little easier to see. It can be a little hard to see just like regular lines and with all of the heat map lines going on. But this is kind of that area roughly between like 56 and 52 where we saw all this aggressive buying that kind of swept out here above the all-time highs. So if we can get kind of a break and retest set up here that we can frame our risk around and target continuation at all-time highs, then we'll see if we can be a part of it. And again, right in the middle of that area, we have that upper trend line I've been watching. We have pre-market highs right there. So there's definitely multiple confluences in that zone. And when we just broke out here, it happened pretty quick and left this area of lower volume. So almost first 30 minutes in now, 5 minutes, 6 minutes to go till 10 a.m. See if anything gives us a pullback setup of any sort. You're watching 54 to 52 because the large buyer, yep, that's right in that area too. But so far we're just going. Watching for a possible failed break of previous week high. Would need to see it break the previous high and then the 54 area retest and hold sellers up here. Now, I don't really have any shorts on the menu as of now with location and structure and price action that we've seen so far. What's everybody else looking at? Oh, this thing is just still going. And this would have been the nice like quick pump higher at all-time highs to look to be a part of it. But unfortunately, not seeing any setup to be a part of it on my end. And I would really love to be a part of it. It's just absolutely ripping right off the get-go. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if we got any kind of a nice pullback into this area, then I would have loved to look to long it. And so far, there's just been zero pullback. I mean, just zoom. Let's just zoom out and look here. So here's the 9:30 bell, and it's just straight up, literally just straight up. I don't even think it's pulled back more than like 2 points. I don't think it's pulled back more than 1 or 2 points the entire first 30 minutes here. So not really, can't chase it because from a risk versus reward perspective, the setup isn't great. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the 2-minute and the 15-minute chart on my candle charts. Yeah, opening drive. Ideally, I'd like to see for like I call it like a opening like momentum. There's different setups around it that people trade: opening range breakout, opening momentum, opening drive. For me, I like to see something set up where there's a little bit of a strong buying momentum and a pullback into it. There's just nothing for me to frame my risk around any kind of pullback. Like if I just jumped in long here, obviously it worked out this time, but even from the opening bell, like even putting my risk under that, I'd be risking 7, 8, 9, 10 points under this low here. What would I be targeting? 57s. So like it's like maybe a 1-to-1. Just if anybody, I mean, most people that catch money on a trade like that, just kind of opening up an open-ended risk jump in the market, you might make money in a time like this, but more often than not, you will not make consistent returns doing that. You will make a little bit of money and then probably lose 10 times that amount of money in the long run, continuing to trade like that. Zelensky's early, I think shortly after the open, I saw Zelensky was asking for another meeting with Russia, maybe for peace talks, probably. S&P and the NASDAQ both at all-time highs. So there's just nothing here for me to short. Nothing here for me to trade long either. I can't jump in and chase this with a very large open-ended risk and not a clear thing to target other than just holding for the uptrend. But we'll wait and see how it develops. But I will say this area around, that 56 to 53 area where I marked here is just looking better and better if we get a nice pullback. Just may or may not get any kind of a pullback. At least we may not today or this morning when I'm looking to trade. just one of those days, guys. Would love to be a part of it, but goal number one every day is to follow the system, protect capital, risk management. That is like goal number one. So no matter how bad I want to be a part of a move, what the market's doing, like I got to find my setups that I repeat day in and day out. And so, yeah, I mean, I want to trade. I want to put on trades and make money as bad as anybody else. But goal number one every day is just to protect capital, follow my system. Yep, exactly. It costs $0 to be patient and wait for a setup. Today, yeah, it worked. You could have bought at any minute today and made money on this move up, but from a risk versus reward perspective, that's just not a sustainable model. And this is the boring part of trading that a lot of people just never figure out how to survive because they just can't help themselves from putting on trades, putting on risk, and wanting to be a part of everything that the market does. And the boring part of trading, which is 90% of the time, you're just being patient and disciplined. And this is just kind of what it looks like, is actively doing nothing until the opportunity is there for you, for your trade setups. If somebody else has a trade setup around this that they have consistent models around, then by all means. I don't for this right now. Just being honest, I don't. I have lots of setups for lots of different conditions. I have setups for this to be a part of it, but I gotta wait for that to develop. And I can't just jump in because the market's moving and I want to be a part of it. How do you approach trading all-time highs? Vic, I like to look for pullbacks, especially like sharp, aggressive pullbacks. Like if we got a quick drop here, kind of sweep out a lot of longs, you know, I would love to see a sharp, aggressive pullback into a key area like this that fails to gain continuation. We would then trap some sellers that are looking to fade this move. We have a better risk versus reward opportunity. And then we have, you know, clear highs to target. You know, maybe we get it, maybe we don't. I know some people look for retracements based on like percentages and based on that kind of stuff, which is all good. I don't trade that way, but if I see a key area based on order flow and price action and everything. So like I said, this area is a good area because one is an area of lower volume down here. Look at the DOM, we blasted up here pretty quick. Two is the pre-market highs / old all-time highs between 57 and at least 52s. 3, we had that trend line that had acted as resistance like 3 or 4 times over the last couple weeks. Let me look at the 4-hour chart here. Yeah, over the last like 2 weeks, that trend line has acted as resistance 1, 2, 3 times. And it started to in the pre-market. We made a high there that rejected. So it was attempting to reject that trend line for the 4th time. And now we broke out above it. So kind of a multiple different things, you know, break and retest setup above that zone. All-time highs setup, we have like a sharp aggressive pullback that kind of sweeps out some late longs, traps some sellers, and you know, we find large buyers. So if we sweep down into here quickly and I see, you know, large absorption orders hit, tells me large players are still looking to continue to leverage in now at a better better opportunity, better price. So if I see a sharp pullback and large absorption orders and then aggressive buying step in, then I'd be looking to get a part of that. But over the last 2 weeks, so just looking at this chart here, we have now pretty aggressively ripped and broken above that trend line. But for the last few weeks in that consolidation range, every time we peaked our head above the highs of that range, we kind of rejected back lower. So this time we'll see if that's different, because we've pretty firmly rallied now to new all-time highs above the prior highs, above that trend line. So we'll see if now we get a different result, if we get a pullback and now hold well outside that range for a continued expansion move to the upside. Primarily trade just in the mornings. The people asked if I trade all day or just in the mornings. Occasionally I'll start looking for trades between maybe like 2 and 3 p.m. But just based on my data and everything, I know like I trade best between like 9:40 and 11:30. Hi, David. No trades so far this morning. This thing has been a rocket ship since the open, and I haven't seen any opportunities for me to get a part of it. Just from a risk versus reward perspective, just didn't see any good setups, and we've just rocketed straight up for 40 minutes now. Yeah, it's super important, I think, early on to not trade a lot, but get a lot of hours of screen time. Like I can tell you, over the last 4 or 5 years, like I have watched price action and order flow all day, every day. And so I think it's really important to get that screen time and experience. We're getting a nice little bit of a pullback for the first time so far today. But that doesn't necessarily mean actively trading all day. And then as you gain that experience, it's when you do trade, small size, sim, whatever, to really be able to analyze all your data around that and figure out what works best for you, when it works best for you. Because everyone's trading is different and unique, like your fingerprint. And so you have to really kind of understand yourself and how your trading is to really fine tune what works for you. Sellers have entered the chat. So see if we sweep out a lot of late longs that chased up here, and we'll see if large buyers continue to want to be absorbing and buying at a better price if we get a nice little drop. So we had a little dip there. We dipped right under this prior swing low around 62. Didn't really see any significant orders for me to take anything there. But another setup that I do like during uptrends is just to look for pullbacks that kind of sweep under some prior swing lows that form. So we had just a little tiny little dip swing low that formed there at 62, and we just dipped under it by like a tick or two. Let me see on my footprint chart here. Yeah, we came down to 62.25. So we dipped under it by like a tick and bounced. There is a lot of large buying right here at these highs, 500 lot positive delta at 66.75. So we'll see what happens here. And I'm seeing what looks like potentially maybe a passive seller here. So we'll see what happens if we just continue to smoke over that. So we got to kind of think like we've rallied so much already this morning. We're at all-time highs. You know, we're maybe at a point where a lot of buyers that were in earlier are selling up here just as not necessarily because they want to or have intention on moving the market lower, but they're just taking profit, right? Because we rallied pretty aggressively. We're at all-time highs. So maybe think about people that have leveraged in at the lows of this balance range over the last couple of weeks. Maybe this is a point. So you got to kind of interpret what's going on here. So if we get a pullback because some earlier longs are taking profit and then large buyers and aggressive buyers are still wanting to be involved, then that's an opportunity. But if we start seeing, you know, a passive seller here, maybe he's an earlier long just taking profit, we get a little pullback and we see large buying, large absorption and stuff, that indicates that we are possibly not done buying and buyers still have intent to see higher prices, then that could be an opportunity. Take a snip of this really quick for the Invest Trade Discord folks. A lot of people ask me about Discord and stuff like that. For those of you that don't know, I'm in the Invest-A-Trade community Discord, and I recommend it. There's a lot of new stuff coming there. So if you're not in there, I would check that out and see. There's going to be some new stuff coming that I think Carmine is getting ready to put out, and it's a good thing to check out. I think there's a wait list right now, Arnie. I don't know if that's open right now, but I think there's going to be some new stuff coming, and it's probably going to open soon. Find the link for you. We'll put the link in the chat, Arnie. So far, holding right around these 62s. Would like to see just a little further pullback. We can just clearly see where this strong buying was up here as we swept above that trend line, that pre-market highs, et cetera, et cetera. We can see this area of lower volume that we left there between like 53s and 57s. We are actually still holding right above. There's like just this little tiny area, lower volume area, just looking at the volume profile here around 62s that we're holding above. I don't have so much weight to that because it's not really at a key area of interest. I would like to see a quick dip under that into this area, but that may or may not happen. This is not really still key enough for me to pull the trigger, and definitely in terms of like risk and reward, not quite there for me yet. Oh, and there's a bunch of buying. That was interesting. Wonder if some news came out. When I see a really aggressive kind of sweep like that before a pullback, then I start to get a little cautious, because that, to me, a whole bunch of buying came in, and if we don't continue higher from there, then that could be a pretty large seller starting to step in, absorbing these buyers. So that was interesting right there. We'll see if we continue higher from that or not. Again, I'm not gonna be shorting up here, but just gauging whether or not, when and where I want to be a part of getting in long. Yeah, a lot of buying coming in here. A lot of quick, aggressive buying coming in here. What was that? $10.20, so almost the first hour in, guys, and just a straight up move so far. That's just what happens sometimes. but this is catching my eye here, how we kind of consolidated sideways here. We held above the 62s, which is where this tiny little area of low volume is. This was kind of interesting how we just had this impulsive sweep higher. This is going to be interesting to see what happens if that continues or not. It's going to be a little telling in the short term both ways. If we continue higher after that, because that does look kind of like a passive seller, filling orders there, then, and this could be just a continued very strong day that just goes higher, and I don't see risk framed to be involved so far. I don't like this activity so much. Like, some people may want to see a pullback into here and get long, and that may work, but based on the volume patterns and stuff that I look for in trades, this is a little bit of a warning flag for me. So I'm not probably going to look necessarily for just a pullback and long off this, even though that could work. Rather wait and see a deeper sharp field pullback. Hey, good morning, Hein. Hopefully I said that right. No, I haven't taken any trades so far this morning. Just watching so far. We've just pretty much just rocket ship up so far this morning. I haven't seen any good setup to be a part of it. So right now, just being patient and protecting capital. It costs $0 to be patient for a good trade setup. I'm not looking to fade the strength. I'm not looking to chase the move with a low risk versus reward trade. Yep. Almost the first hour in. There's nothing that I'm looking to jump in right now. So I might take 1 minute to go refresh my eyes and touch grass, guys, but I'll stay on the stream. Just give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. This looks like exactly the same place it was when I walked away. What grass are we touching here? The grass outside my house. Absolutely nothing changed. Just sitting back and watching, seeing what develops, waiting for a good setup. It's kind of like fishing. Make sure. It's definitely gotten slower up here, but there's still a lot of buying coming in up here at the highs, 70s now. Still a lot of buying coming in. Yep, looking like a cash day for me so far. Dude, do you have a grounding mat on your bed? No, I've seen advertisements for those. Are those things good? I do like going outside, touching grass like just now and putting my bare feet on the grass and just kind of resetting. That's a nice tip for you guys to take away. Don't overextend yourself trading. It's very difficult. The mental exertion of trading is very high, especially day trading intraday like this. And you know, at least every hour or so, sometimes for me every like 15 or 30 minutes, just like take a quick little break, reset your mind, make sure you're thinking clearly, make sure you're following your game plan, make sure you're following your risk management rules. I like to use this little timer sometimes. I'm not doing it because I'm on the live stream, but I have this little timer that I can just twist and set, and it just reminds me like every 15 minutes. I'll reset it to just kind of take your emotional temperature. Where are you at on the trading day? Are you following your plan? Are you following your rules? And just kind of take an honest, quick little self-assessment and see if you need to step away for a couple minutes. It's a huge thing. So ever since we saw that quick little spike here, kind of simmered down, we poked the highs one more time, seeing what looks like some more selling here, starting to step in. So wait and see what happens here. But seeing this quick surge in buying and then slow right here has me very wary in the short term. Looks like a passive seller. Again, I'm not looking to short it here at all-time highs, but I'm wary of what has developed here. This selling that's stepping in after this buying at the highs is not something we've seen so far today. This is different. So it might fail and it might very well continue to squeeze higher, but that's why I'm cautious of being a short here, like at all-time highs, like I've been saying all day. It's just a recipe for a lot of small losses, fading a move like this. Yes, Robert asked, I reset my DOM at the open and it does it automatically. So all this data resets at the 9:30 open. There's a setting that you can set on the DOM Pro settings on Bookmap. reset options, reset session volume profile buy sell at the open. So this resets 9:30 a.m. Hey Matt, what's the total cost of Bookmap software price and subscription? It is just a subscription. I think I pay $99 a month for the Global Plus subscription, and then I think my data for it, Rhythmic data, is like $30 a month or something like that. I've been doing this for years, man. I think they had a lifetime subscription. I don't know if they still do, but they had a lifetime subscription for like $1,500 or $2,000 or something. Should have bought that a long time ago because I've been paying monthly for this. But it's kind of just a negligible cost of doing business for me. Yeah, maybe one of these days when I have a nice winning day, I'll just throw it into a lifetime Bookmap subscription because I don't see myself ever not using Bookmap. And I continue to pay like $100-something a month for it. Yeah, this definitely is looking like it could set up for a nice pullback. I don't know that I want to short it, but we'll see if it provides an opportunity on a pullback. Going to be honest, I just watched the live streams on YouTube. Okay, that's cool. My live stream, or is there other people that live stream with Bookmap? I honestly don't even know. I don't really watch anyone else's trading other than my own. I'm like at a point I'm just purely doing my own thing. I don't know if other people live stream and share Bookmap. Maybe, probably. But for me, that wouldn't quite be enough because I really need the ability to like fine tune the view that I'm looking at and everything based on the setup that I'm looking to take. You know, a lot of times when I'm passively watching, like you guys have seen so far today, I'll look, like if you look at these time intervals at the bottom, I'll look at like the 15-minute time interval or maybe the 5-minute. If I'm getting a little bit more closely watching for a setup, then I'll be looking, you know, kind of around 2-minute interval here, 1-2 minute. And sometimes I'm even looking as detailed as this at like the 30-second interval when I'm looking to like pinpoint a scalp setup. And I'm really, really hunting the orders as they come in. But so far, like on a day like today, where I'm honestly pretty passively watching here, this is looking like it's setting up for a nice pullback, to be honest. It's not setting up for something that I'm looking to short. Just current location. It's it's not a hard rule, but it's kind of like a semi-hard rule for me that I just never look for shorts at all-time highs because I've taken so many losses trying to do that and just fading an uptrend. Just void it almost. But this is looking like it's setting up for a pullback. We'll see if it provides opportunity on a pullback. Just because we had this impulsive sweep higher here and really kind of stalled. Like, look at the size of this buying. What is on the other side of aggressive buying? Like, it takes two to make a transaction happen in the market. Passive seller, right? So when I see a really impulsive sweep like this of aggressive buying coming in, and then it really stalls like this, and then we're seeing it dwindle, and now we're seeing like this passive seller step in here, to me, just is starting to set up to be pretty ripe for a quick pullback, because all these people that bought, you know, where was their risk? There's probably a whole lot of people up here that have just bought because the market was moving up. So if we start to stall and we start to pull back, a whole bunch of people are going to be quick on the market sell and just trigger a quick sharp drop. And then we'll see if we get a quick sharp drop like that, we'll see if there are large participants absorbing that. That sets up an opportunity to get in long again. Does that make sense, everybody? As far as like what I'm kind of looking for in these conditions. Because I'd like to see a quick sharp drop that triggers a lot of panic of everyone that bought late, that bought with pretty much no risk reward, just buying because it's moving up. A quick sharp drop that triggers a lot of panic, a lot of people start selling, and all of a sudden, boom, we see like some large absorption orders. If there's some large funds, large participants still looking to be buyers, then I want to follow in their footsteps when they start absorbing all the panic selling and kind of form another bottom for a nice move. We could get another leg higher. Yeah, I mean, we could look for it up here. We could look for this pullback. But just to me, the way all this aggressive buying came in and then stalled here, I'm a little hesitant to look for this to defend. This isn't so much, especially also given the location, guys. Like, we've traded up all day. This happened on an attempt at a break of a new high. So there's just multiple things that, one, from a risk versus reward, we're still very high on the day, haven't had any real pullback. So I'd rather see more of a pullback. Yes, it could work. Buyers could continue to defend this. Maybe a passive seller was here just profit taking that was in longs from earlier, and maybe we continue to rally here. That is an option. And if that is a possible outcome. And if that possible outcome occurs, then I'm still just going to sit here and watch and wait for a setup that I like to trade. I have like setups that I look for depending on the conditions and stuff like that, and I'll just wait for that. Even though this could continue to move higher here, but it looks to me kind of ripe for a nice little pullback first. And if we don't get it, then I have no problem just staying cash. You have to accept possibly missing moves. Like when you take a trade, you have to be willing to accept losses, because risk is part of the game and losses are part of the game. But you also have to accept missing moves and not having FOMO about things and waiting for setups that are A+ according to your data, your trading system, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes that means doing the difficult and boring thing, which is actively doing nothing. For now. That could change in a moment's notice. That could change in a moment's notice. But just have to be prepared for that if and when it occurs. Yeah, I mean, we can see clearly, just zooming out here, this large buying on this pop here that attempted to break the highs again, stalled, and then look at all the selling coming in. Like, I mean, this, again, like I said, I'm not really wanting to short this here, but it does look ripe for a pullback. We have a nice little kind of swing low that formed just looking at the 2-minute chart around that 62. So if we sweep under that into that same key area that I've been talking about, here's that low that I was talking about, like around 62. We had that lower volume area. If we get a nice pullback that sweeps under that into this kind of key area, and if I see, you know, large passive buyer here stepping in and holding, then I'll be looking at that. I would say the only downside that's setting up right now to this setup is that it's getting late in the morning and the kind of the momentum and volatility is dwindling. So the other possible outcome is that we pull back into here and then just kind of stall in this range now. So we'll see what happens. I just would have really loved to get a nice pullback in the morning that had a good opportunity to be a part of all this momentum off the open, this rally off the open. That would have been great. But it didn't happen today, and that's okay. Definitely looks ripe for a nice pullback here. Let's check on NQ. A little bit of a larger pullback on NQ to kind of the largest of the day so far. So prior highs on NQ is around 23,320. We're kind of healthily above that right now, still up to the 2390s, 23,390s. Yeah, I think I generally I haven't looked at the footprint on NQ in quite a while, but I think I usually looked at like a 40 tick range, like 10 points or so, depending on the volatility. Could be more. Yeah, no problem, Tail. Better use a tick chart or a time-based one. I use both for different things. Like for entries and order flow analysis throughout the day, I'm looking at a tick-based footprint chart, looking at the volume profile and everything, volume delta by price. But for like my larger like technical analysis, I look at a normal candle chart for coming up with a lot of key areas and stuff. So I use both for different things, Armando. But for like my intraday analysis for taking trades, I'm looking at Bookmap and I'm looking at a tick based 5-point range footprint chart. So 20 tick range on ES, 5-point range. Sometimes I'll increase that a little bit to a little bit larger range bars if volatility is very high. But generally it's about this 5-point range bars, 20 tick. And I'm looking at volume and volume delta by price in those 5-point ranges. Yeah, no problem, Armando. I like things that are not obvious on a candle chart, and especially around volume, price and volume, and how orders are coming into the market. And it gives me a feel for the pace of the market that you can't quite feel so easily, get a good gauge for just on a time-based candle chart. The pace of the market and how it's reacting to the size of the orders that are coming in, buying and selling. Yeah, there's a lot of good amount of volume up here at the highs. Good amount of volume up here in the highs for sure. And I really still like that 63.57 to 53.54 area for a pullback. Yeah, a lot of volume up here. Like since we had this kind of like quick impulsive move here with all this aggressive buying that seemed like it kind of got absorbed, we've kind of just dwindled and traded sideways inside that. So important to watch here. We definitely could see a quick pullback from it. If the context was different and we weren't at all-time highs, et cetera, then I'd be a lot more interested in this kind of setup for a short. Like if we broke and retested and failed, and I saw really aggressive selling stepping in, but I'm kind of sitting back and waiting for just a better opportunity to buy. But again, like I said, the only caveat to that is it is it is getting late in the morning and the momentum is kind of dwindling now. So we'll see. Any other questions about what we're looking at so far, or anything that I've talked about? Let me know. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to take a trade when it makes sense, but I'm not somebody that's just looking to be trigger happy and click buttons without a good trade setup. So we'll see. It could set up at any moment here. Since around 10 a.m. though, so we made this high around 10 a.m. Since around then, it's been kind of like watching paint dry, setting up. Nobody seems like not enough people at all want to be sellers to get to trap any sellers, get a pullback. And also buying has kind of dwindled up here too. So have any of you guys taken trades? Did you anyone catch the longs this morning on that rally? If so, let me know what you saw. I think a few people were looking to fade shorts, but that has just not been in my book for this price move this morning. Just watching. 1 point stop loss. Good risk management though. Let's see. I'm using the StreamYard app. I wonder if I know in like the regular like YouTube live stream, I can do like a poll. Wonder if I can do that on here. Not sure of a way that I can do that. Eva said he's long from 63.42. Nice. That's good. Yeah, that I liked that dip in the pre-market this morning at 9 a.m. down to the top of that range that I talked about, around 63.43 to 63.24, kind of a larger range. I was initially off the open, I was hoping we dipped a little bit more down into that range, but we held kind of the top of that range right at the 63.40s, held that in the pre-market around 9. And literally, like, I don't really like to get in trades in the pre-market, like right before the 9:30 open, but today that played for sure, because since the 9:30 open, it just rocketed straight up, and then since around 10 a.m., we've just treated sideways pretty much in this range between 62 and 72. You know, about a 10-point range here, but other than that quick little pop from at like 10:18, 10:20 from 63.62 up to 63.70. Like since that quick little pop occurred, it's been just a kind of choppy sideways here. So on Bookmap, like since this quick pop occurred here, like around 18 to 20. So since around 10:30, we've had 30 minutes in just like a 5-point range or so here. Just kind of just hanging around. Post in the comments. I can't really do a poll from this StreamYard thing that I'm streaming from, but just post in the comments. Have you taken long, short, or just stayed cash today so far? We'll get a feel for what everybody's doing. Since we're all kind of watching similar stuff, I'm curious like what actions we've all taken on it. Long, short, or stayed cash. Long, cash, 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 cash. Shorted, half normal size, cash. Short at 68. Might walk away. Cash. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking an attempt at a trade if anyone has, for sure. There's nothing wrong if you have setups that you like to trade and you see it and you manage your risk, win, lose, or whatever. The short-term outcome doesn't matter. So, but it seems like a lot of us have stayed cash today so far, which I think makes sense just given the price action we've seen. And that's actually, I think, probably pretty good. A lot of people are being smart and waiting for an opportunity, not that it's not smart to take a trade. If you have a setup, by all means, take the trade. But just the fact that you have the patience and discipline to sit cash says a lot. A lot of people just can't do that, man. It's hard, especially like you want to make money and you're not like, this game does not pay us for time. It just pays us for capitalizing on opportunity. And sometimes when you're putting time into watching the screens and it's boring and you want to make money, and it's very tempting and easy just to try to put on trades to catch a move, even though it's not a great trade. So having the patience and ability to sit cash through different things, especially when the market's moving up and it's easy to want to be a part of it, is a good thing. It's a good thing to be able to have the ability to be patient and sit cash if you didn't see opportunity. Like I said, nothing against anyone. If anybody did see opportunity, I do not fault you at all for trying it. Again, opportunity for everyone is different, and they may have setups for different things where they can manage their risk in different ways, and that's fine. It still looks ripe for a nice pullback to me. Again, I'm not shorting it, but I could see definitely why people would short it. And maybe under different circumstances with some little bit different confirmations, I would be taking a short here. Shame. Hey, I took my first partial 23.41. Some more selling coming in here now. We'll see if it can get any legs. Definitely could set up just with how many people are just clearly just looking at the orders. How many people are long up here? Look at the delta difference here, 145,000, almost 146,000 lots long versus only 132,000 short. So definitely could set up for a nice, quick, sharp pullback, and we'll see what happens if another opportunity comes to get long for another move higher, if buyers continue to support it. But to me, it just looks like less and less buyers are wanting to get involved up here, because I think probably the realization is setting in that, like, we've already moved so far up. There's been no pullbacks. It's a very expensive market. Expensive, right? It's high. And we haven't pulled back, and less buyers are wanting to stick their neck out and be involved up here probably. So we're due for a pullback. And if we get that pullback, then we'll see what happens if buyers want to say, okay, this is a better market now. It's cheaper. We can reload and buy. Just think of from an auction perspective, you know what I mean? We've gotten up to the highs. Less and less buyers want to be involved. If we get a discount on price, we get a nice pullback. We'll see if buyers are still eager to be involved. But so far, there's been no price discounts, and it's just gotten higher and higher. And it seems like less and less buyers want to be really actively involved. Really, really sideways. No more news really coming out today that I'm tracking. Is anybody, let's see, 901. Yes, I agree that a very expensive market. I'm always telling myself that this auction based on the auction market theory. Yeah. But I mean, in uptrends, markets can just stay expensive and just keep going up. So you want to be cautious fading that just because you think it's expensive. For me, the best opportunity is just to get a little discount, a little pullback to a key area and see good confirmations to get a part of it. You don't want to chase it when it's very expensive and just be left open to being a big bag holder if and when it inevitably does pull back. So it's just all about maximizing probability with the setups that you're looking for based on the conditions. And then also at the same time, want to maximize risk versus reward versus when you look to get involved. So it's a balance of both. Those are the two things that you have to really look to balance. Probability, like when the market is just trading straight higher, like we saw this morning, like, yeah, there's a very good probability that it's just going to just continue to do that. But the risk versus reward is a very low multiple, because one, the probability is very high and the market is just trading up. So the probability that's just going to continue going up in the short term is high. I tend to kind of be at a medium place. Like I look to be at kind of just like a balanced medium, 50, 60% win rate type situation. And I really try to focus on maximizing risk versus reward. So I really prioritize risk versus reward, R multiple over win rate. like 4 or 5 plus R. Like minimum for me to take a trade setup, I'm looking for 2R, like at least twice what I'm risking. But I really like to be involved when I can get 3, 4, 5 plus times what I'm risking. So if I'm risking like 300, I'd really like to make $300 on a trade setup. I'd really like to be able to look for targets that are $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. I mean, even if that means, a little bit lower win rate when I execute on those things to get that kind of R multiple. Because to me, it's much easier. It's much easier to hold winners when I'm right. And even though it's hard to do from an emotional perspective, but from a performance and probability standpoint, it's easier to hold large winners that reach a high R multiple than it is to be right so often. Like if I was trading 1-to-1s and trying to have like a 70+% win rate, would be a lot harder from a performance standpoint, at least for how I trade. So I like to wait until the opportunity is there for good probability, like better than 50% if possible, but higher risk versus reward. And so far today, I just haven't seen that. $6 points profit on 1 point stop loss. That's great. Jay Sahimbi, if I pronounce that right, I don't know. Jay, great trade if you risked 1 point to make 6 points and called it a day. It's not about how much, guys. Like how much is relative. The important thing is just being consistent with the trades that you take, risk that you take, controlling the things that you can control, and just being consistent about that. The size, whether you make 3-point trades, 5-point trades, 20-point trades on ES, really kind of a little bit irrelevant. The important thing is just that you're consistent, because that is the most important thing. Consistent with what you can control, your risk, your targets, your trade management. When you're in a trade, how do you manage profit taking? How do you manage risk? Consistent about how much you risk, how frequently you trade, when you trade, all those things that you can control and be very consistent with. That is the very, very key thing to this. Guys, it's a pretty dead day. Hopefully we got some good advice and some good thoughts coming out, despite the little bit boring price action we've seen here in the last few minutes. If you find value in this, I appreciate it if you just drop a like on the stream, share it. That helps me out a ton. Again, I just do this for free because I'm trading it anyway. So helping share information with you guys. All I ask is drop a like and share it. That helps me out, helps the channel out, reach more people. So I appreciate that for everyone that has done that. Go get the boot out. Oh, the boat out. I misread that. Go get the boat out. It is a record hot day today in Florida, guys. Freaking, I think the feels like is like possibly like 110 in my area. Little Potato, thanks for the streams, Matt. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining in, guys. I really appreciate 106 people in here. We've pretty much stayed over 100 people almost the whole stream, which is awesome. So thank you guys all for being here. Hopefully you get value out of this and are learning something despite the outcome, taking a trade, not taking a trade, just doing the reps of watching the market, doing analysis and learning, how to handle yourself in the market and navigate the market is key. And that's really the point of doing this. I'm not really doing this just to like share trades for people to copy. It's just for giving you guys value as far as like how to navigate the market, especially from the perspective that I do, from using order flow, price action, supply and demand, all that kind of stuff. It is always a win if you can just follow your plan regardless of the outcome. But if you can have the patience and discipline to take no trades when the market's telling you to take no trades, that's a win. Protecting capital is the first job. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Best value out here. Drop a like and share. It's all I ask. I appreciate you guys joining in. Yeah, you have. I'm as guilty as everybody. Matt, you were going to do a video on Bookmap. Okay. I heard. What would you guys want to see from a video of Bookmap? Like, I feel like I go pretty in depth on the live streams as far as showing you guys Bookmap and things, how setups look as they trade. Are you following me on Instagram? I post a lot of recaps on there. Maybe I'll go more in depth on just Bookmap on recaps on there. And I will make longer format recaps, like I've told you guys, on trades for YouTube. I haven't been super active with trading. Like I'm in the markets every day, but I haven't taken a ton of trades, to be honest with you guys. The volume of trades that I take has been a lot lower the last month or two. Just the summer volatility has been low. There's just been a lot less opportunities as far as trade setups for me, which is okay. That's just seasonality a little bit. And I don't always post recaps of every trade that I take. I take a lot of winning trades and losing trades that I don't always share, just because maybe I'm lazy, or maybe I just have already posted so many recaps of that exact same type of setup. But maybe I'll just continue to post them anyway, because I know I get new people in all the time that haven't necessarily seen the old trade recaps that I've shared. So maybe even if I'm just taking the same exact flipping trades that I take all the time, I'll just continue to share them anyway. But I will do a deeper like YouTube video, longer format review of some trades for you guys that I can go more into Bookmap and stuff like that, because it's hard for me to do. Like, I have to keep the trade recaps, like for shorts on Instagram, to less than like 90 seconds. Otherwise it just doesn't even show it to anyone. So I just kind of do quick, like high level reviews, but I will deep dive into some trade reviews. Drop a comment in the chat if you want me to deep dive into some trade reviews for you on YouTube. Right now, I'm just a member in Investitrade, and I recommend that for people because it's a really good community in there, and there's a lot of new stuff coming in there, Kita. So I'd recommend checking that out. And I shared the link earlier. I can share the link again if you need it, but here, I'll just share it again really quick. But there's a lot of good training in there. It's a good trading community, and I participate in there. I share a lot of information with everyone in there. And so there's a wait list right now because I think Carmine is getting ready to release some new stuff and restructure it a bit. So I would recommend just jumping on the wait list in there. Okay, Kita's already a member in there, so cool. Yeah, so if I primarily participate in the Academy group. It's a smaller group. But I know a lot of people ask me to post in like the regular main chat that are not in the Academy group. And so I do sometimes post my game plans and things like that. But I'm not as active in there like today because I'm doing this live stream with you guys. But normally when I'm not doing this, I'm sharing trade recaps. I'm sharing kind of my detailed analysis throughout the trading day every day. And I'm sharing like my trading game plans and stuff like that every day. All that kind of stuff with that group in there. We are still trading right inside this range ever since we had like this impulsive move right here around 10 a little after 10 a.m. like 10:20. And I think I told you guys in real time, like this kind of triggered my eye here. This was something to kind of watch out for one way or the other. just based on how we made this high. Then we swept above it with all this aggressive buying and then stalled. I said, watch out for this. One way or the other, whether we reject back lower from it or we break out above it. And so far, we've just traded sideways right at it for an hour. It's 11:20. So we've traded sideways for like 5 points for an hour at that since that occurred. It's still important one way or the other, but nothing's happened so far because maybe it spooked a lot of people when something like that happened. Or maybe just dying out kind of time of day. It's getting late in the morning, almost 11:30. But since then, and we've got 1,000 lot positive delta built up now at 63.70, right where we're trading at right now. So that large positive delta at the highs on a day like this, to me, in the short term, looks like someone's passively selling. I'm not looking to short off of it, but obviously the market has had a lot of buying up here and it has not gone up further. So putting 2 and 2 together, reading between the lines, then that tells me someone is passively selling to, like, we can see the green bubbles here. We can see the positive delta, which tells me that people are aggressively buying, market buying, and the market or the price has really not aggressively moved higher from that so far. It might so far. So definitely there's a passive seller here. We'll see if it's enough to generate any kind of a pullback, or if the selling dries up and these buyers are still buying, then we're just going to keep trading higher, which is possible. We're either going to trade sideways, we're going to go up, or we're going to go down. How do you guys like that analysis? That's what's going to happen. We're going to go up, we're going to go down, or we're going to go sideways. One of those. But either way, it's an important spot to gauge when we see that large positive delta building at the highs. The price action of how we saw that high made and then we slept above it and then traded sideways in it, it's definitely forming up to be an important thing to watch. Hey, Matt, sending you a DM. What I'm asking for: a Bookmap trade setup and entry review. Okay, I will check that. So if you guys aren't tracking, I am doing a live stream again later today, this afternoon, with Edu, Dr. Stocks, on Instagram. So if you guys are not following me on Instagram, I'm doing a live stream with him around 4 p.m. And also, I think he's going to be hosting it. So you'll have to probably join the live stream on his. I think it shares it on mine also. But we're going to just be talking about some trading stuff that I think will help people with their trading. So if you want to join in that live stream today after the market closes at 4 p.m., I think the link, I don't know if the link to my Instagram is in YouTube or not, but it's just Matt Owen Trades, same as YouTube, same as TikTok, same as X, just Matt Owen Trades. And it is a verified account. There are a lot of fake accounts pretending to be me on Instagram, so please watch out for that. Mine is the only verified Matt Owen Trades account. But yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing the live stream with Edu on there to just have like a trader TED Talk and to go through some things. And I'll also kind of deep dive and answer any questions that people have about trading, about setups, about psychology, anything. 2 trades from Friday I took, just sent. Okay. I will check that. Let me see. If there's anything I can answer right now, let me see. Coach Ted, we the people, do you want me to do this right now on the live stream? Or do you want me to just privately reply to you? Okay, let's take a look. So I'm going to move this like right here so we can kind of watch both things here. So this is where you took your trade. Oops. I'm doing a live trade recap here for We the People. Just sent me a DM of his trade, so I'm going to take a look at it for him. So hopefully you guys are interested in seeing this because there's not much going on here that I'm going to trade right at the moment. But I'm keeping an eye on it right here. But I'll look at this trade for We the People. So predetermined level, low volume node area, 63.37, 36. Thesis, if price can retrace and hold below 37.35, sellers reappear. I want to place short. Price pulls back into the aggressive sellers on less volume. Last attempt for bulls to regain control. Prior to this, there's no big aggressive buyer. Green bubble stepping in. Notice. So that does look good. What time was this at? Was this morning you took this trade? We haven't traded at the 30s this morning. Was this, I'm assuming this is from a prior day. What day was this from? From Friday. Let me look. $37s, around 10.50. So on a setup like that doesn't look bad. So his entry was here on this retracement back into these sellers. That doesn't look bad. I think for me, the better setup would be to wait for price to get up into that area and see some large green bubbles, some large buying trying, and really large passive seller hitting those first, and then see aggressive selling. So like just because we came up here and then aggressive selling came in, yeah, that can work. I mean, it's not bad, but on that type of setup, I would prefer to see that bounce back into that area around the 40s too. So I don't have the volume profile pulled up from that day, but just looking at the chart, there was that pre-market low around the 40s, 63.40s. So that would be an area, like a technical analysis area other than the volume profile to look at. So I would have rather seen a lot of aggressive buying get trapped first and then see this aggressive selling come in. That would have been better, but this doesn't look bad. I'm assuming this resulted in maybe like a break-even exit. On that scenario, if I got that entry and then we failed and came back up here, you were up 7 or so points, I probably would have taken that off break even. Oh, you took a 10-point win on it? Yeah, then I mean, there's nothing wrong with that for sure. I would have personally probably been looking for a lot of aggressive buying to get trapped on that retest first and then look at this aggressive selling, but this definitely isn't bad. And that's a really good, if you nailed that entry when you saw that weak buying right here on that retest, that looks pretty good. And then, so retest of the selling area coincided with the breakdown overnight low. So that was your first trade over here, I assume like around 1050. And then it dropped and then it came back up there again. We're seeing a lot of offers here, all these orange lines. So I'm seeing a lot of offers sitting here. Price was unable to recapture the overnight low with aggressive buyers continuing to push and buy. Volume sellers stepped back in. Red. Yeah. So this is better. This is where I would have probably looked to take it right here. And I think I was actually in a long, if I remember correctly, on Fridays off the lows. And I think I took it off up here, actually. I have to go back and look at my trades. I can't even really remember. But this definitely, when we broke out above this prior high, similar to what we just saw this morning. See how we made that high and then we broke out above it again with all this aggressive buying and then it got weaker. Yeah, that to me, and then this aggressive selling. So you could either take it here when you see the weaker buying come in and put a stop loss up here above a prior high up here, higher risk versus reward, but maybe lower probability at that point, or wait till you start to see this aggressive selling coming in back below this trapped and take it short right here around the 38s and a stop loss over the 40s up here. Either way, great. That looks great. The only thing I would say that makes me wary is like later in the day after 11, 12, I tend to stay away from trades on a Friday. But both of those look good to me. Both of those look good. The second one looks best to me. So hopefully you guys got some value out of that little trade recap for We the People there. We're continuing to squeeze higher up here. So we had this pullback into these buyers here, and so far it did not trap them, and we are continuing to move higher. And that is one reason why I just stay away, because like in different conditions and different contexts and stuff, this would have potentially maybe looked good for a short setup, trapping these buyers on the sweep and then rejecting lower, although we never really had really large aggressive selling coming in. And then we're kind of bouncing and just grinding higher. So it's just a recipe to take a lot of losses trying to short in these conditions. But this wasn't a good enough development here in this pullback for me to take it long. I'm also not going to take it short up here. So I'm just sitting out. Again, hopefully you guys got some value out of this today, despite no trades being taken. We are grinding up at all-time highs now. Volume and volatility is decreasing, so I'm probably going to call it a day and wrap up here. But thank you guys all for joining. Again, just drop a like and share. That helps me out a ton. That's all I ask. Hopefully you guys got some good value out of this. Did a trade recap kind of impromptu for We the People. Hopefully that was helpful. For not only him but you guys, since we're doing this on here together. But yeah, appreciate everybody joining in. I'll let you guys know if I do take any trades, if anything develops. But honestly, the probability of me taking a trade is lower and lower as we kind of grind. We're kind of hitting my cutoff time now. Haven't really seen any pullbacks or any really good setups that make me want to be a part of it, even though price has gone up. So hopefully you guys got value out of this analysis. Again, later today on Instagram, I'm going to be doing a live stream with Edu, Dr. Stocks on Instagram, 4 p.m. Eastern. So I'll be going over a lot of stuff on there if you guys are interested in tuning in. But other than that, thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you. I'll probably do another live stream this week, if not a couple more this week. So let me know. And also, the best way to reach me is just DMing me on Instagram. I try to respond to everyone all the time as much as I can, to just give you guys value again on there. So if you have questions or anything, or requests for videos, things that you want to see me put together for you guys, let me know. Just DM me on Instagram, @OwenTrades. Thank you guys for joining. Thanks, Benjamin, Jose, Johnny, Blair, Marcus, Armando, We the People. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a good day, everybody. Hopefully see you guys in the live stream on Instagram at 4 p.m. Peace.